Here are the weirdest and most unbelievable creatures to ever wash up on the beach, part 2. First, in 2016, a group of fishermen stumbled across this huge 176-pound smelly thing that looked a lot like a rock. At first, they didn't think much of it, but shockingly, it was actually whale vomit, which is used to formulate luxury fragrances. Which means whale vomit can be sold at very high prices. This 176-pound chunk of the stuff was valued at $3 million. Next, in July of 2018, this creature that looks like a demon was found washed up on the shores of Montauk, New York. Supposedly, the creepy looking carcass for some reason wasn't available for autopsy as it was carted away by an unknown group of people. Many have speculated it might be the mutant product of experimentation at the controversial Plum Island Animal Disease Center, which is near where the creature was found. You can only ride this roller coaster once. Julionis Urbanus designed this roller coaster called the Euthanasia Coaster. It's capable of holding up to 24 passengers. Once they're all on board, it starts to slowly ascend to the top, which is 1,700 feet in the air. That's just a little bit smaller than the tallest building in America. Once they're at the top, it gives everyone the decision to stop and go back down safely. After that, everyone has to manually press a button to start the ride. Then it falls at a speed of 220 miles per hour and goes through 7 loops that keep getting smaller. It's designed like this so riders maintain 10 Gs of force for a full 60 seconds. Everyone's blood would rush to their feet, leaving no blood left in their brain. This causes them to lose their vision and eventually black out and die. It was designed for people with incurable diseases who wanted a fun and unpainful death. The Dumbest Lottery Winners, Part 3. Evelyn Adams won the lottery and then won again 4 months later for a total amount of $5.4 million. But she thought she could keep on winning, so every night she would go to casinos and gamble her lottery winnings. She eventually gambled all her money away and now lives in a trailer park and works for a food services company. Martin Todd bought a lotto ticket in 2000 but forgot about it until months later when he saw the lottery drawing on TV. Martin realized that the winning numbers were the numbers he bought, but he couldn't find the ticket anywhere. And since he failed to file a lost ticket claim within 30 days of his purchase, he ended up getting nothing. Etta Mae was so shocked when she won the California lottery that she couldn't stop shaking when she went to claim her prize. So she asked her son Ronnie to sign the ticket and claim the jackpot on her behalf. But greed got the better of Ronnie as he claimed the jackpot as his own and spent all the money on himself. Genius People Who Beat the System, Part 6. First, this TikToker lives in LA and there was a movie being shot right by his house, so he decided to sneak onto the set. He made his way right in and explored the set before stopping to get tons of amazing free food. Next, a kid was playing GTA 5 when he decided he wanted to take a nice relaxing bath. But he still wanted to continue playing, so he FaceTimed his PlayStation so he could still play while in the bath. Next, a man from China bought a first-class plane ticket which came with access to a VIP lounge that had free food. He rescheduled his flight over 300 times in a year so he could enjoy over 300 free meals. After finally getting caught, he canceled his ticket and still got a full refund. Next, a girl woke up and decided she really didn't want to go to work. So she turned on her flat iron to high heat and put a thermometer up to it and sent her boss this text to avoid having to go to work. Welcome to ridiculous things going on around the world right now that for some reason you just haven't heard about, Part 32. First, Elon Musk is going to be making a Tesla phone called the Model Pi. Since Elon also owns Starlink, the phone will use its satellites and have service anywhere on Earth and anywhere on Mars when people live there. It'll be able to mine cryptocurrencies, it'll have solar charging so you can charge it anywhere, it can change colors on its own, and so much more. Next, German inventor Rebecca Weiss created a testicle bath that's actually a male birth control device. The invention uses ultrasound technology to temporarily stop sperm mobility, and the device only needs to be used once every few months to prevent pregnancy. Next, 2 inventors from Kenya created the world's first biorobotic arm that's operated by brain signals. It was invented to help disabled people do everyday tasks by only using their brain. A student in North Korea was caught smuggling copies of the show Squid Game into the country, and his punishment will shock you. The student is believed to have smuggled a copy of the show from China on a concealed USB drive. After the student smuggled the show into the country, he sold a copy to another student who then shared it with his 6 friends. The student that originally smuggled it into the country is due to be executed by a firing squad. And the student that bought a copy of the show has been sentenced to life in prison. while his 6 friends who only watched the show have been sentenced to 5 years in labor camps. Plus, teachers and administrators working at the school where the students watched the show have also been fired, and they face being banished to remote parts of the country to work in mines. So hippos are taking over Colombia right now, and it's Pablo Escobar's fault. And no, I'm not joking, let me explain. In the early 1990s, when Pablo Escobar was making millions of dollars per day, he decided to create his own zoo where he had all sorts of animals. But when Escobar was killed, the Colombian government had to do something with all the animals in his zoo. So they ended up sending all of the animals to local zoos except for Pablo's 4 hippos. They were way too large and aggressive to capture, so the government decided to just leave them alone and let them die. But the hippos didn't die. They instead decided to take over Colombia. And now, almost 30 years later, hippos are the most invasive animals in Colombia. They are breeding like crazy, killing local wildlife, and not to mention they are one of the most dangerous animals on the planet for humans. And the locals have even nicknamed the hippos the cocaine hippos, since the only reason they are there is because of Escobar. In 1991, the drug lord Pablo Escobar surrendered to Colombian authorities and agreed to spend 5 years in prison, but there was a catch. He would design the prison himself and he would be guarded by people he wanted to guard him. Since he was building the prison himself, he built an extravagant hotel prison on a mountain that he bought. His opulent palace included a soccer field, jacuzzi and sauna, multiple pools, a gym, a waterfall, and a helicopter landing pad. So even in prison, Escobar did whatever he wanted, which reminds me of Guns of Glory. In Guns of Glory, you can build and defend your own castle, form alliances with your best friends, or just decide to choose violence and do whatever you want when you want, just like Escobar did. There's also pirates, open sea warfare, treasure hunting, and so much more. So if you want to join the world that has no laws and no morals, then click the link in my bio.
Yo, bro, who got you smiling like that? Like,
kill the lights, so baby, close your eyes. The way you're looking at me, you got me mesmerized. Something I can't escape, feel like I'm lost in space. You got that good loving, girl, if you leave me, I might throw my heart away.
Elon Musk just announced that Tesla will be building humanoid robots, which they are calling the Tesla Bot. The Tesla Bot will be 5'8" and weigh 125 pounds, and its purpose would be to eliminate dangerous, repetitive, and boring tasks. Basically, the Tesla Bot can do any physical tasks humans don't want to do, like doing dangerous construction work or even going to get your groceries for you. Elon said that the robots would have a personality of their own, as they have machine self-learning chips inside of them. He also said that they won't be strong enough to overpower a human or be fast enough to overtake a human. But we will have to wait and see what happens, since a working prototype of the Tesla Bot is coming sometime next year. So a couple days ago, someone on the dark web said that they hacked into T-Mobile servers and had stolen personal data from more than 100 million different users. That data includes names, addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, and driver's license information, which is all details that the company collects to verify the identities of its customers. Since that post blew up on the dark web, T-Mobile has come out and said that they were indeed hacked. T-Mobile said that they are investigating for what information was actually stolen, and that the investigation will take some time. Meanwhile, the hacker is asking for 6 Bitcoin, which is worth around $275,000, for a subset of data including 30 million social security numbers and driver's licenses. And the hacker also said that they are already privately selling the rest of the data. So the Taliban have officially taken over Afghanistan, but many people don't exactly know how this happened. So here's everything you need to know. The US has been trying to get out of Afghanistan, which is its longest war, for several years now. The Taliban, which is a military Islamic group, ran the country of Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001. In 2001, American troops removed the Taliban from power over Afghanistan in a matter of months when they invaded to find and remove Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is who orchestrated the 9/11 attacks and were being harbored by the Taliban. Last year, then President Donald Trump announced a plan to pull out and signed a deal with the Taliban that limited US military action against them. President Biden then announced that the last troops would leave by the end of August. And as the end of August drew close, the Taliban began overrunning city after city since the US wasn't there to stop them, and they were able to seize control over the capital once again. Cops could not believe the reason this man robbed the bank, and the punishment the judge gave him is absolutely hilarious. In 2017, Lawrence Ripple gave a bank teller a note saying, "I have a gun, give me money." Right away, the bank teller gave him all the money that was around her, which was about $3,000. And at this point, most robbers would leave the bank, right? Well, not Lawrence. He took the money and then found a nice comfy chair in the lobby, which he sat down on until the police came. He was arrested by the cops, who were obviously confused, until they spoke with his wife. His wife revealed that Lawrence left her a note saying that he'd rather be in jail than be with her. And when his court date came, the judge gave him 6 months of house arrest. Genius People Who Beat the System, Part 10. This TikToker was at her kid's baseball game where there were rules that wouldn't allow parents to have alcohol. So she got these sleeves you easily just slip onto cans that hides what the actual drink is. That's thinking outside the box. You're not allowed to write anything negative in your senior quotes. So Amber wrote The Office, Season 7, Episode 19, Minute 445. And if you go to that moment in the show, it says this.
Should have burned this place down when I had a chance.
A couple were at the arcade and really wanted to win the arcade jackpot by landing on the 1,000 tickets reward. But they didn't want to waste a ton of money trying to do it legitimately, so instead they just lifted the glass and made it land on the jackpot. Crazy coincidences you won't believe actually happened, Part 4. Just days before their wedding, Alex and Donna were looking through Donna's baby photos. In this picture of Donna taken in Disneyland, Alex noticed himself in a cart being pushed by his father 20 years before he and Donna met. These two drunk guys were imitating Conor McGregor on the sidewalk in Dublin, Ireland, when suddenly Conor McGregor drives past them, opens his window, and talks to them. This 10,000-year-old skeleton was found in a cave in Cheddar, England, and its DNA was tested. It was discovered that a living relative was teaching history about a half-mile away, tracing back nearly 300 generations. Here are some of the worst gender reveal fails ever. These parents were trying to make their daughter pop the balloon that would reveal what their new baby's gender was. But the little girl didn't want to pop it and threw the dart. This led to the mom hitting her and letting go of the balloon, which floated away. This family was having a powder gender reveal. The plan was that everyone would pop the tubes at the same time. But this kid dropped his on the floor before they all did the big reveal, which made it break and revealed it was a boy, which ruined the surprise. For this gender reveal, they shot a target and it exploded, showing it was a boy, but the explosion caused a wildfire to start. The wildfire ended up burning 47,000 acres owned by the state of Arizona, and the father is being forced to pay $8.2 million in restitution. People who got caught in 4K. This girl had her feet on her boyfriend when suddenly the guy in the middle tried taking a picture of her feet, but the flash went off. If you look at the guy's reaction when he gets caught, it looks like his soul left his body. This TikToker was sunbathing by the pool when this older man was just blatantly staring at her. As he was unknowingly being recorded, he puts his hand down and seems to do something very gross, but thankfully he was kicked out. This guy sent this selfie to his girlfriend and said he was hanging out with his coworker Patrick. But his girlfriend said that Patrick looks a lot like a girl, because if you zoom into his glasses, you can see that Patrick has long blonde hair. Genius inventions that should exist everywhere, Part 11. Apparently we are living in the future, as now there are projection keyboards. Just connect the device to your phone and you can type using a hologram, and as an added bonus, you don't have to worry about spills anymore. Don't you just hate when you're laying on your towel and sand gets on it? If that's you, then you might need this. This beach mat absorbs sand. When sand gets on it, it travels through it and goes out the other side, and thankfully it can't come in through the bottom. Honestly, I'm very confused on why all stores and malls don't have this. It's an escalator just for your cart. All you have to do is push your cart through the little doors and it will go up or down at the same speed that the escalator for people does. People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident, Part 3. In 1971, Edwin Robinson was in a severe car crash that made him completely blind and partially deaf. 9 years later, he ventured outside his home to rescue his pet chicken from the rain when he was suddenly struck by lightning. But due to the high voltage blast from the lightning strike, he miraculously could see and hear perfectly fine again. During Adam Rayner's early life, he suffered from dwarfism, and at his tallest, he came in at 4.5 feet. But at the age of 21, he developed a tumor on his pituitary gland, which led him to grow to a staggering 7 feet 8 inches within a few years. This made him the only human to ever be classified as both a dwarf and a giant in the same lifetime. Rory Curtis got into a car accident that was so severe he fell into a coma for several days. Thankfully he came out of it, and when he woke up he could magically speak perfect French, even though he had only taken a few French lessons 12 years before the accident. The strangest last meal requests on death row, part 3. Ricky Ray Rector ordered steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, and a slice of pecan pie. But he left his slice of pecan pie untouched, and when he was asked why he didn't eat it, he said he was saving it for later. But the strange part is that after his meal, he was going to be executed, so did he think he was going to come back from the dead to eat his pie? Lawrence Brewer decided to indulge in an enormous feast. His order was so large that if I read the whole thing, we would be here all day, so just pause now to read the whole thing. But the order wasn't the strange part. The strange part was when he received all the food, he refused to eat any of it, claiming that he wasn't hungry. And after this little stunt, Texas ended the last meal request forever. Odell Barnes didn't request a normal meal, instead he requested justice, equality, and world peace. But a murderer advocating for world peace is pretty ironic though. Genius inventions that should exist everywhere, part 3. In South Korea, some red traffic lights have a countdown delay that shows you how long it will be until it turns green. And it has been proven to reduce the accident rate by more than 50%. Next, you can say goodbye to hard to reach wall sockets with the Rambler socket. The Rambler socket has an extension cord built into the wall itself and can also be used the normal way. It contains about 5 feet of extra cabling and requires only a gentle tug to coil it back into the wall. Next, the Let's Pizza vending machine is the only machine in the world that can prepare Italian pizza from scratch in under 3 minutes. And the machine actually offers 4 different varieties of pizzas. Next, with this adjustable hot sauce, you can pick your spice levels. The clever device mixes a blend of mild and hot sauce, so all you have to do is twist the cap and select the level of heat you want. People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident, part 2. At 10 years old, Orlando Sorrell was hit by a baseball on the left side of his head really hard. After the accident, his only side effect was headaches, but when they went away, his memory became superhuman. He could remember literally everything on any given day after his accident. Like the weather, what he wore, what he ate, what he did, and much more. Khan Trikan from Thailand was cooking fried chicken one day when he was accidentally splashed by oil from head to toe. But when this happened, he discovered he had a superpower. He had no burns or anything on his skin. And he now fries chicken and plunges his hands into boiling fat at his restaurant without any pain or signs of burns. 12-year-old Nikolai was walking home from school when he was electrocuted by a faulty wire but made it home safely. The next day while eating breakfast, he dropped his spoon and it stuck to his body. He then noticed he could stick many different objects to his body and is now nicknamed the Magnetic Boy. The strangest last meal requests on death row, part 2. John Spankelink was always known as a heavy drinker, so when it came to his final meal, he denied any special food to be prepared. All he asked for was a single flask of Jack Daniel's whiskey, which he shared with the prison superintendent. Ronnie Lee Gardner was determined to make his last meal last as long as possible. His order wasn't too crazy. He asked for steak and lobster tail, apple pie, and a 7-Up, but his other request was pure genius. He requested to watch all 3 Lord of the Rings movies while eating, and surprisingly, he was permitted to do so. And with a combined runtime of 11 hours, it must have been the longest last meal ever. Philip Workman's last meal request was for a large vegetarian pizza to be given to a random homeless person. But prison officials refused to do so and he ate nothing. But surprisingly, on the day of his death, lots of homeless shelters in Tennessee received large amounts of vegetarian pizzas from people all over the country. Unbelievable stories that sound fake but are 100% real, part 3. In the 1950s, church was a huge part of life for everybody living in Beatrice, Nebraska. Beatrice was a small town, so not only did everybody go to the same church, but a bunch of people participated in the choir. Choir practice started at 7:20 p.m. sharp every single day, and no one ever missed it. So when the church priest was running a little bit behind on March 1st, 1950, it was kind of a big deal. The priest's family had just finished up eating dinner at 7:10, but his daughter spilled something on her dress and she had to clean it up. While she was getting ready, the clock passed 7:20 and they were officially late, but little did they know that their daughter's clumsiness had actually saved their lives. At approximately 7:25 p.m. there was a gas leak inside of the church and it blew up. Minutes later, the fire department was searching for bodies in the rubble, but they never found any. Because by some miracle, all 15 choir members were running late, and this article explains why each person was running behind. 5 days ago, these 2 girls made a TikTok saying they found a dead body in the morning, but the thing is, they weren't lying. 2 girls from Texas, aged 17 and 16, made a Snapchat of them stealing jewelry off of the dead body of a man they found in a drainage ditch. In the video, Bethany Martin, the 17-year-old, took the necklace off of the man's corpse and gave it to her friend who was recording. The younger teen told police that she put the medallion on her own gold necklace because it matched her fashion style. Both girls have been charged with theft to a human corpse, and police believe the man's death was a suicide. These people literally stretch their own skulls. Back in the 15th century, the Incas practiced something called cranial deformation. They would tightly wrap string around their babies' heads so their skull would stretch as they grew. This resulted in cone-shaped heads, which was a sign of beauty in their tribes. And this tradition was known as Limpombo. This is the only known man to be both dead and alive at the same time. His name is Riliu Constantine, and in 1992 he left Romania to go to Turkey for work. He then was out of contact from his family for 10 years, and his wife assumed he was dead. So she went ahead and got a death certificate. And the man had no idea, but one day he was deported from Turkey back to Romania because his passport had expired. So he planned on just renewing it and going back to Turkey. But as soon as he landed, he was detained and informed that he had died back in 2003. So of course he went to the courts to overturn it. But the court said that he was too late to appeal it, and as far as they were concerned, he was officially dead. And now he can't get a passport, a driver's license, or even a job. Shia LaBeouf went way too far when filming these two movies, and here's why. Just a day after being casted into the movie Fury, he literally joined the United States National Guard, and he spent a whole month on a real military base. He then cut his own face, creating a real scar. And then the man pulled out his own tooth. And he did all of this without showering for 4 whole months. But hold up, Shia LaBeouf's craziness doesn't stop there. For his movie The Tax Collector, instead of just getting makeup, he actually tattooed his entire chest. Leonardo DiCaprio went way too far when filming the movie The Revenant, and here's why. First off, he actually lived in the frozen outdoors during the entire filming of the movie and even slept in animal carcasses just to try to stay warm. And Leonardo DiCaprio, who is a die-hard vegetarian, actually ate raw bison liver and raw fish during the filming of this movie. And for filming, he would have to go for regular swims in frozen rivers. And during filming, he was enduring freezing cold and possible hypothermia consistently, which actually led him to getting the flu many times during filming. This looks like a scene from a movie, but it is actually what parts of Western Europe look like right now. Record rainfall has caused deadly floods that has killed hundreds of people and has thousands more missing. The rising waters are also causing landslides, power outages, and has put entire cities underwater. More than 1,000 soldiers have been deployed to help with rescue and clear up operations. Floods of this size have not been seen in over 1,000 years in the region, and extreme weather events like this are becoming more and more common. This is just the latest sign of a global warming crisis that we have to take way more seriously before it gets so bad we can't fix it. Here are the most bizarre mysteries and crimes that were solved by using Google Earth. In 2019, a man named Barry Fay was playing around on Google Earth when he saw a strange figure in a large pond. When police searched the pond, they discovered a submerged car containing the skeletal remains of William Malt, who had disappeared without a trace after leaving a nightclub 22 years prior. A Google Street View driver was horrified when a member of a gang pointed a shotgun at him. When this was spotted on Google Street View later that year, police went to the home, and what they found inside was even more horrific. They discovered the dead body of a 1-year-old baby girl in a closet. A 14-year-old boy was riding his bike one day when suddenly 2 men ambushed him and stole his bike, phone, and cash. But thankfully, 6 months later, the thieves were identified in this Google Street View photo, which was taken literal moments before the attack took place. This rapper actually predicted the coronavirus in 2013. The rapper's name is Dr. Creep, and he has been going viral recently because of a song he released back in 2013. The song is called Pandemic, and I'm just gonna play it for you and you'll understand why everyone is going crazy over it. Yup, so 8 years ago he said 2020 combined with coronavirus. And what's also super creepy is that we don't know anything about him. The only pictures he posts of himself is him hiding his face in a gas mask. Now many people think he's either a time traveler or part of the government or someone trying to warn us about things that are going to happen in the future. Marvel fan theories that actually came true, part 2. We all know that the late great Stan Lee was in almost every Marvel movie up until his death in 2018. Because he was in almost every movie, Marvel fans theorized that Stan was actually playing the same character in each movie. While in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, in this scene it was confirmed he was indeed playing the same character in each movie. He was an informant for the Watchers of the MCU as he was seen having a discussion with them, telling them of his adventures in the franchise up until that point. Paul Alexander hasn't been able to breathe on his own since 1952, and he's known as the Man in the Iron Lung. Paul spends almost every moment of his day in an iron lung, which is the only thing that's keeping him alive. That's because he's paralyzed from the neck down, so without it, he can't breathe. When Paul was 6 years old, he caught the polio virus, and over the next 5 days, he lost the ability to move and breathe. That's when he was put in the iron lung, and even though he couldn't move, that didn't stop him from graduating high school and college with honors. He eventually became a lawyer, and with the help of a pen attached to a stick, he wrote his own biography entirely with his mouth. And when asked why he wrote a book, he had this to say.
To inspire thousands of people just like you. No matter where you're from or what your past is or the challenges that you could be facing, you can truly do anything.
The most tragic lottery winner stories. Doris Murray won $5 million in the Georgia State Lottery, but instead of spending the money on herself, she instead decided to use the money to set up a trust fund for her grandchildren. But just a year after winning the lottery, she tried to break up with her boyfriend, and that's when he stabbed her to death. Gregory Birch Jr. won nearly $500,000 in the Georgia State Lottery, but just 2 months later, 7 masked people broke into his house with shotguns as he pleaded with them to not kill him in front of his kids. He told them he'd give them his bank card, but when the thieves couldn't find his wallet, they shot and killed him anyways. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to get adopted by rich parents and never have to worry about money again? Surprisingly, for some people, this is a reality, and now there's a new show that covers stories like this. One example from the show is Bianca, who was raised in the foster care system and is now looking to be adult adopted by a couple that have money. Many fans of the show are saying she's genuinely looking for a family, while others say she has more sinister intentions.
I guess some people's perception might be really negative. They might think that I'm just using or manipulating my way into a situation to be with people who have money. But I'm just gonna say screw what everybody has to say, and I'm gonna live my life because I'm just so happy.
If you want to watch the rest of Bianca's story and find out if she gets adopted, or watch 5 other similar stories of adults adopting adults, then tune into all new episodes of the provocative show Adults Adopting Adults every Monday at 10 on A&E. Sad things you never noticed in Marvel movies. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Tony says this.
I see a suit of armor around the world.
But since he couldn't put a suit of armor around the world, in the first Avengers movie, when Natasha meets Bruce for the first time, Bruce pushes a baby cradle and says this.
Every time, get what I want.
In Venom Let There Be Carnage, Venom fixes a poster that has Stan Lee on it.
Mrs. Chen.
Good evening, Venom.
Mrs. Chen.
This way, Stan Lee was still able to get his cameo even though he sadly passed away. Here's what would happen if everyone flushed the toilet at the same time. The first thing to get overwhelmed by the vast amount of waste being flushed would be the lift stations. These are stations that serve to push your waste uphill towards its final destination, the treatment plant. But you can only push so much poop up the pipe. Eventually the pipe gets overwhelmed and can't handle any more wastewater. At that point, it would back up to where it all started, your bathroom. Your toilet would begin to overflow with substances that were supposed to be delivered to the treatment plant. And it wouldn't stop there. The overflow would fill up every wastewater line in your home, including your shower, your sink, and even your washing machine. But not all of our pipes will be able to handle this excess. Many will begin exploding underground and flooding our streets with waste. Here are some animals that got the middle finger from evolution. Sometimes the horns of rams and goats grow so curved and big that they penetrate their skull, causing their death. Horses and donkeys can suffer from abnormal growth in their hooves. If their hooves aren't trimmed, they can no longer walk because of the pain, causing them to die from starvation. When turtles fall on their back, it's really hard for them to roll back over. When this happens, they usually die from too much sun, starvation, or attacks from other animals. During mating season, deers get into such aggressive fights with each other that their antlers get stuck together to the point where they can't be untied. When this happens and no one can separate them, the deer die because they're unable to eat. Finally, the deer pig is famous for its two upper tusks. The growth becomes so uncontrollable that it pierces the upper part of their jaw. And in some cases, the tusks will keep growing until it pierces their skull, causing their death. How the most famous magic tricks were performed. The secret to the classic trick where a woman is cut in half by a saw is to use a box divided in two parts. The woman lies down in one box and fake feet come out the other box. To swallow the sword without getting hurt, the magicians place their head up to align their throat and stomach. This way the sword enters in a straight line and doesn't touch anything. The guillotine is one of the most dangerous and famous tricks out there. The secret so that nothing goes wrong is the bottom of the guillotine has hidden compartments and blocks to stop the blade before it reaches the person's neck. To perform the trick where a magician lies on his back and gets ran over by a huge truck, all the weight of the truck is on the opposite side of the magician, so he doesn't really feel that much pain. The dumbest lottery winners. After winning $1.3 million in the California lottery, Dennis Rossi filed for divorce from Thomas Rossi so she wouldn't have to share the money with him. Thomas decided to sue her for violating state law, and he kept all the money. Michael Carroll won $14 million when he was just 19. After claiming he wouldn't spend the money on dumb things, he bought multiple luxury cars, mansions, and other expensive things. To this day, he lost all of his money and works at a cookie factory. Jack Whitaker won $315 million in the US lottery. When he claimed it, he took it all in cash, but soon after, thieves broke into his house and took millions of dollars. Genius People Who Beat the System, Part 7. David Spurge wanted to meet the band Peking Duck, so he changed the band's Wikipedia page to list himself as family to the band. He then flashed the updated page to security at one of the band's concerts, and they actually let him in backstage. Once there, he met the band and told them how he got backstage, and they were so impressed they called him a legend on social media. Alex Diamond wanted to drink at the Electric Zoo Festival but didn't want to pay for the super expensive drinks at the event. So 3 weeks before the event, he went to the site of the festival grounds and buried a water bottle filled with vodka. He marked it on Google Maps so on the day of the festival he could easily find and dig up his booze. When Reddit user AFCJL12 needed a ride home from the club, instead of paying for a taxi, he would walk to a nearby late-night takeout place. From there, he would order food to be delivered to his house, and he would hitch a ride with the delivery driver, which was still cheaper than getting a taxi. Saddest live streaming moments caught on camera, Part 2. Twitch streamer Buckers was playing Madden NFL when he took out his rage on his infant son after his controller malfunctioned during a game.
God damn it! Fucking $300 fucking controller! Yo, can I fucking press pause? Just sit right here. Stop. I gotta go, yo. I'm about to fucking lose it, yo. Shut the fuck up!
That clip went viral on Twitter and many people called him out for being a terrible father. Soon after that, a screenshot surfaced that claimed his wife left him and took the kid. He tried to protect himself by deleting all of his videos and changing his Twitch name to this. But it was too little too late, as just days after the incident, Twitch suspended his account and he was eventually arrested as well. Saddest live streaming moments caught on camera. Popular Twitch streamer Wreckful was streaming when tons of people in his chat started telling him to kill himself.
I just want you to know that I'm serious. Like, I want you to know that I'm really affected. So, look at me. Okay? Like, maybe you guys will stop.
He would frequently speak about his mental health and his struggles with depression on his streams.
I mean, I don't really enjoy being alive most days.
So obviously people telling him to end his life really got to him. And sadly, just 3 years after this livestream, Wreckful, whose real name is Byron Bernstein, would end up taking his own life. May he rest in peace. Hidden movie details you completely missed, Part 2. In the movie The Dark Knight, Joker is constantly licking his lips like he does right here. But the only reason he does this is because the prosthetic scars Heath Ledger wore kept falling off, so he would lick his lips to keep them in place. And it eventually became part of the Joker's character. In the movie Joker, every clock in the whole movie is set to 11:11 and never changes. This was done intentionally by the director to show that everything in the movie might not actually be happening and may just be a figment of Arthur's imagination. Speaking of the Joker, you can now try to survive a zombie apocalypse with him in the mobile game State of Survival. It's a super fun game where you can build post-apocalyptic shelters, kill zombies with your friends, and now you can even play with the Joker. If you think you can survive, click the link in my bio. So astronomers discovered a strange repeating radio signal near the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and they have no idea what it is. We need to talk about this. First off, the radio signal is unlike any other energy signature ever seen before. The object creating the radio signal is called this and was discovered by radio astronomers from Australia. But what is really baffling astronomers is when they attempted to observe the object using telescopes, something very weird happened. When they were finally able to view the object, the signal would just completely disappear, which has led astronomers to believe what they are witnessing is something brand new that we've never seen before. Let me know what you think it is.
Yo, we're straight up, oh my god. Oh, this is really dangerous.
I got tagged in that video a lot and people wanted to know why is the sky that red/orange color. So here's everything you need to know. It is due to the Caldor fire that has been engulfing California since August 14th, and it has already burned down 217,000 acres of land. Now the reason the sky is red/orange is because when smoke from active wildfires is in the air, those smoke particles eliminate blue light before it reaches your eyes. This makes it so only the red and yellow light are able to pass through these smoke particles, which leads to these red/orange tinted skies that looks like a scene from Stranger Things. This is the most dangerous candy ever created, and you're seriously going to be shocked that this ever made it onto the shelves. This candy was called Hippie Sippy, and as you can guess, it came out in the 60s. Basically, there are multicolored chocolate balls in the vial, and to get them, you have to suck through a needle. And yes, the similarities to drugs are 100% on purpose, as it was meant to get kids to normalize heroin, which uses needles. It had taglines on the packaging saying, "I'll try anything," but fortunately after 1 year this was pulled from all the shelves.
A Coreia do Norte acabou de proibir o Dia das Mães. Mas você realmente não vai acreditar no motivo. Se você pensou que a Coreia do Norte não poderia piorar, espere até ouvir isso. Kim Jong-un acabou de proibir o Dia das Mães na Coreia do Norte por honestamente o motivo mais estranho que já ouvi. Eles proibiram o Dia das Mães porque aparentemente estava distraindo os cidadãos de seu amor por Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un não queria que seus cidadãos amassem alguém mais do que ele. A Coreia do Norte deve ser o único país que tentou fazer com que seus cidadãos amassem seu líder mais do que sua própria família.